Hello friends and welcome back. Today's video is going to be about my trip to Mexico in March of 2023. I only took two cameras on this trip with me. One was my brand new at the time Fujifilm X Pro 3. I really love this camera. I did take quite a few photos with it on the trip as well, which I'll be showing y'all. And we'll just say that it definitely shows that I had just recently got the camera, because some of the images aren't that great, some of them are not bad. But I'll chime in a couple of thoughts about this camera as well. But the main focus of this video is going to be shooting on an Olympus Stylus for the first time that I borrowed from a buddy of mine, and shooting the Cinestill 400D in it. I did take a lot of other film, but we'll go ahead and jump right into the video.
We look forward to serving you again on another United flight.
Alrighty. Well, alright, this is just for us to try?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a shot, and then margaritas will be here in 2 minutes.
So the first day here, I didn't really take very many photos. I took a few photos on my X Pro 3, trying to mess around and find the settings for the rest of the trip. But other than that, I didn't shoot the Olympus until the following morning when our trip really started. That next morning, we woke up nice and early because we had to take about an hour 20-minute cab ride down the coast to Boca de Tumalan, and that's when I snapped these next two photos. Once we got to the port, it was basically just a beach with a makeshift dock. That's when I really started taking some photos. So I took some with the Olympus, and I also took some on the X Pro 3 while we waited for our boat to pull in. Once we were on the boat and on our way to our destination, that is when I took my favorite photo of the trip, and it's of this old gentleman who was sitting slightly behind us, and I kind of had to quickly get a video clip of him for you guys for the video, and then I had sort of an incognito photo of him just because everyone was already staring at us. We had all of our luggage everywhere. Also, where we're going, there aren't any grocery stores or any convenience stores. You're basically living on the beach in a hut, and so you have to bring all of your food with you for however long you're staying. But I ended up getting the shot of this gentleman, and it has to be one of my favorite shots. Once we arrived at the Palapa, you'll notice that a lot of the photos that I take from this trip are either in or around the Palapa. It was just a very interesting experience to be able to live in sort of a hut, so it was just very beautiful. We're right there, right above the water, And so I was taking a lot of pictures of just the plant life, the animal life, and the ocean from the Palapa. After all this time, all this travel, we've done it. Or this, and then this stuff. Perfect. Something that I try to do a lot during this trip was using my wife as a subject for either an interesting photo in the Palapa or as just as sort of a focal point or sub-subject in a larger landscape photo. So this photo here that I took on the Cinestill 400D shows something that I feel like a lot of people don't appreciate about the Olympus Stylus, specifically the zoom. The one that I had was the 105 to 35, and I found being able to have the zoom was very valuable. There were a lot of photos that I don't think I would have gotten if I wasn't able to zoom in, and this is one of them. You'll see I take a similar photo with my X Pro on my fixed lens, which is this one that I got from TT Artisans. It is a 35mm crop sensor lens, so basically a 50mm on a full frame lens. And to me, that didn't really give enough zoom for some of the pictures that I wanted to take. And so there were moments where I was really glad that I was able to have the 105. And so I think that the zoom Olympus Stylus is undervalued. Shortly after we got settled down into the Palapa, we wanted to go to the nearest town, which is about a 45-minute trek from where we were. Once we got to the little town called Chimo, there's really only one place to go there, and that's the Sunset Restaurant, because they have freshly made drinks and beverages, and everything that they have on the menu is caught that morning. And we decided to treat ourselves and have a little bit of lobster. I didn't record this conversation, but there was a couple that was sitting near us, and that might sound normal. However, this restaurant is very out of the way, and the only other people that are there are people that live in the Palapas around the ones that we stayed in. So we ended up chatting with these folks, and they were from Canada, and they were some of the most pleasant people that we got to talk with. And we were sort of dreading the hike back, but they knew the restaurant owner very well because they have gone there every year for the past several years. So they asked him if he could give us a ride back, and he happily obliged. And while we were waiting for him to pull his boat around, I took some of these photos. the more I zoom in, the more things make sense. Man, I wish I had like a Samsung Galaxy. So later that morning, the water taxi comes around 10 o'clock every day to pick up anyone who's along the beach. And you basically have a flag that you put into the sand. If they see the flag, then they'll come over and they'll pick you up. So as we were waiting, I was trying to get a cool shot of the ocean. And of course, I got a little bit too close and the wave came up and splashed all over the X Pro 3 and the new lens that I had just gotten, which I'd already mentioned before. But I wanted to give props to this TT Artisan lens because I don't believe that it is weather sealed, and it got soaked with salt water. And it's been a year now, and this thing has no haze, like no fungus, nothing. You know, I cleaned it off, of course. It's a pretty strong lens, and it's pretty cheap for what you are getting. So that day, my wife and I planned to go to Palapa, enjoy the waterfalls they had there, the food, the people, and of course, take some awesome photos. Something small that I wanted to implement into my photography during this trip was trying to take photos of places that had evidence of people, but not necessarily have any person in the shot.
So this is the small one?
Yeah.
Or the big one with the small hike?
The big one with the small hike.
Walking around.
Even though I mentioned I really liked taking photos with Cinestill near dusk and in the morning, I also really liked how it looks during the midday in the strong light. A lot of film sometimes falls pretty flat, but somehow the Cinestill 400D is a little more dynamic than a lot of the film I normally shoot. They still turned out beautiful and they had some depth to them.
She said, "I'm taking it." I said, "Okay, that's fine." Whoa. That's too much.
So nearing the end of our time in Palapa, we decided to hang out on the beach for the remaining hour while we were there waiting for our boat to come back. And that's when I took the last shot of 400D. The first roll of film that I loaded up would be the Fujifilm Superia 400, and I'll tell you right now, that film looked great in the Olympus. A lot of the photos that I took turned out wonderful.
So we may or may not have missed our first water taxi, and this water taxi is the next one to go up, and they have been trying to pull it into the water for the last, what time is it? I don't know, the last 15 minutes. It's supposed to be in the water in 6 minutes and taking people. It's in. Update. Our original boat ended up making it. They were just a little late, so thank God. It's literally like a roller coaster ride. Man's holding on back there.
If you look carefully, there's a crack in the boat on the bottom right of your screen right there. And every time we hit a wave, that crack would get bigger and bigger. This boat was literally duct taped together.
For some reason, a lot of my favorite photos that I've been taking with the Olympus Stylus just happen to be while I'm on the boat, like this one. I took this one while we were the only people left on the boat on our way back to our Palapa, but I didn't anticipate the film rendering the scene this moody, and a little bit of underexposure gave this scene a little bit more of a stormy feel to it. Now, I really chose what scenes I wanted to take with the Cinestill 400D because that film is expensive. I really wanted to capture specific scenes with it in order to see how it performed. But with the Fujifilm 400 Superia, I know it's hard to come across that specific film, but to me, I wanted to have more fun with this roll. And so I started taking just a little bit more relaxed images. I started treating it as more of a camera to just capture little moments and memories and details instead of trying to find like a really more professional composition. I also don't remember, but I do believe that this Fujifilm was expired by at least a couple years, not quite a decade, so I wasn't really worried about how it would turn out when I was shooting it because I couldn't adjust the exposure compensation on the Olympus. And that's really the only downside to it, is you just can't shoot expired film, as you'll see with the next roll of Kodak Ultramax that I put in the camera.
Do you think he's still back there?
Wow.
Is he on the back?
Oh, yes, oh God. Yes. Oh my God, put him back. Drew, oh, he's scared.
Sorry, bud. Emma, how does this go back up?
I don't know.
He's up there. Look at him. He's kind of cute.
He's really cute.
He scared me last night. Emma! Emma! It's a pufferfish! Oh! There he is.
You're asleep.
Only my eyes.
And my arm.
They're weaklings. You're on my eyes.
It looks so grainy. It looks like I took all of these photos underwater. I'm actually not sure why it's so blue, to be honest. A lot of expired film that I've shot tends to be more faded in magenta, but it could have just been how it was stored for as long as it was. That just gives it that huge blue cast.
Maybe it's love.
These are cool, and when we stop moving, the whole beach starts to move. There's so many of them.
Regardless of how it looks, there were a couple photos that I took on this roll that I kind of liked, the sort of old 90s, like ill exposed film. And I just thought it was fun.
Holy.
So as I'm showing you this large cactus here, our Palapa was called the Cactus House, and for good reason. It doesn't look that big on camera, but you'll see later, I'll put my hand up to it, and my hand is tiny. This thing was over 40 feet tall, and I couldn't even like wrap my hands around the whole thing, mostly because there were, thorns and stuff on it, but it was massive. And that particular expired photo, I think, is the best one that I could have gotten on such an expired roll.
Dude. I put my hand on this cactus to show you how big it actually is.
From my experience on this trip, Cinestill 400D is an absolutely amazing film. I know there's a lot of people that really don't like it. It's sort of like a split down the middle. You either really hate the film or you really like the film. I fall on the really like the film side. I think it's great. I think it catches colors really well. I do like the daylight halations that it gives. I think it gives more dynamic to the image itself, and the film specifically has more dynamic range, which is also a huge plus.
When you were playing that record, what were you thinking?
So with it being a new year, I also am trying to do some new things and things that I've been trying to do for a while. One of those, I finally did it, is I made my own website. It's not completely built, but it is live. And so I'll put that link in the description right now. It only has the photos that I took in London recently. So if you want to get a sneak peek at all the photos that I took in London before I make that video, go ahead and look at my website. But I am going to be putting pictures from all my travels up there. And at some point, I'm going to get it so that way you guys can purchase prints if you're interested in getting a print. That's probably why you'd purchase a print. And then the second camera that I took along with me, the Fujifilm X Pro 3 with the 35mm TT Artisans lens. That was also really awesome. That was the first trip I ever took this camera on, and I take it on every trip after that. I had a Sony before. I never took photos on the Sony. I only carried it around to do video work. But this one actually does both fairly well. But most of the video I do take is just on my iPhone, in case you guys were wondering. Anyways, if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me out. And I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. And as a thank you, once I get there, I am giving away one roll of Cinestill 400D. Still got it. Stays in my film fridge, nice and fresh for you guys. So if we can hit 1,000 subscribers before June, that's when this expires, then that would be fantastic. If it does expire, I am going to probably purchase new film to send off to whoever wins it, just so that way I'm not giving you expired film. Anyways, with all that said, I'll see you in the next video, but until then, goodbye.